television is actually much closer to the new universal religion than Christianity is. If the gods or the priests, the high priests of television, want to overnight, and it serves their purposes, they can or could eliminate Christianity as we know it. And the influence of television is certainly far, far greater than the influence of traditional Christianity.
Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It's Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video. So y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all, we got a pretty interesting video today. We're gonna get into method acting. We're gonna get into the demonic methods that a lot of your favorite actors and actresses use in order to portray the roles that we most know them from. Now, on the screen right here is the Joker, of course. It's Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger being probably, one of the most famous stories, kind of one of the bigger mysteries of how a very famous Hollywood actor died. Now, I did do a Heath Ledger video on this channel. You guys can go check that out if you like. Here in this video, we're just mostly going to be covering the methods that they use to get into the character and how a lot of them were, under demonic possession, or they were channeling these spirits. As a result, it caused them to be attacked spiritually and be up under demonic oppression, because to me, there's a difference between demonic oppression and demonic possession. When you're possessed, you're like fully took over by the spirit. It fully operates in your body. You can morph, your face can change. The spirit can talk for you. It can laugh for you. It can have these smirks where it fully possesses you. But when you're under demonic oppression, it's a little bit more different. It more is controlling your emotions, controlling your thoughts, controlling like your nightmares. You're having bad dreams. And speaking of nightmares, the reason that I'm even doing this video in the first place is because of this right here.
I remember sometime we do 10 episodes for my show, and in this last season, I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? Had nightmares for a month. So it does come
to it or after?
After. Like I had nightmares every day. Like I felt that energy.
Oh, interesting.
And I had to pray and do all this stuff to like get rid of it. And you call your mom up and you're like, bring me back to life. And that stuff is real. That stuff really is real.
So we all remember that clip going viral, just a few days ago or a week ago, whenever that was, about Damson Idris, if I'm saying his name correct. He got on that, little talk show, and he started to talk about how he asked the devil to come into him so he could play the role the way that he figured he needed to, because he felt he needed to go into a dark place, I imagine. So he wanted to pull from dark forces to help him with it. So you can say, life is about good and evil. Life is about, bringing out that evil when you need to, yin and yang. You could talk about all of that duality of life, and that how people, because I talked about it on this channel too, people are born spiritually dead, in a sense. And I mean spiritually dead as in your connection to God. Obviously, we come from the source, but our job here as humans is to connect back to God, is to raise your spiritual awareness about the spirit world, basically. Because a lot of people walk around unaware of what is actually out here, and, how much of a fight there is when it comes to good versus evil. My point of saying that is, if you're not if you don't understand what you're doing, what you're getting into, what you're calling upon, you know, to me, there's no exercising the evil part of what you can be. You know, you don't want to exercise it. You don't want to call on the devil. You don't want to call on demonic spirits, because in the end, the devil is a father of all of lies. So they're going to trick you. You know, you might be thinking, you know, in Idris' case, you're using these demonic spirits to just help you with a role. But just like he said, it caused him to have nightmares. He couldn't get any sleep. You know, he had to call on his mom to help him pray and get out of that state of demonic oppression. He was trying to channel dark forces to help him with the role. And you could kind of tell he did go into a dark place if you watch the last season of Snowfall. And, you know, Snowfall goes back to John Singleton. John Singleton, you know, pretty much directed most of the show, you know, before he died, which John Singleton was sacrificed as well. So a lot of this stuff is demonic at the core of it, you know, as far as what these people are doing and using and trying to contact in order to play these roles. But he went on to basically go through a spiritual battle. You know, these dark forces were manipulating his emotions and his dreams. And obviously he didn't know what was going on, because at the end of that little talk, he was saying this stuff is real. You know, it's real. So maybe he wasn't fully aware of that life, which, you know, I kind of doubt. I don't know why they went on that show. I don't know why he felt the need to tell people that. You know, it's almost like, in a sense, they wanted to stir some shit up with that, which I find to be a little weird, right? You know, without really talking too much, that's the basis of why I wanted to do this video. And I found a pretty good article about method acting, right? And we're going to get into a couple of more people and just, you know, all this demonic stuff that these actors and actresses like to do to get into their roles. And it's across the board. You know, it's not just film, it's music, it's all of it, because we know Michael Jackson, we know a lot of the famous artists were channelers. They channeled spirits. You know, I've touched on a lot of this stuff, but we're going to get into it a lot more in this video. Right? So check this out real quick. Method acting traces its origins to the early 20th century teachings of the Russian theatrical realist, whoever that guy is. Y'all can see it on the screen. His work later influenced Lee Strasberg, who's known as the father of method acting in Hollywood and who trained some of Hollywood's greatest stars beginning in 1951. Method techniques prompt actors to draw on their own experiences and emotions as a way to strip their performance of artifice. In many cases, actors will replicate the external conditions of their character in order to behave more authentically. Extreme practitioners go so far as to starve themselves, abstain from sleep, and isolate themselves from their loved ones. Actors including Paul Newman, Montgomery Clift, and Jack Nicholson were among the many prominent talents of the second half of the 20th century who sharpened their skills in that school of acting. Remember, Jack Nicholson told he did that interview where he was like, when he got the news that Heath Ledger died, he was like, I told him. He said that. He said, I told him, meaning he warned him what would happen, calling on the spirit to play the Joker.
Now you can have a smoke, Jack.
Jack, to your left. Jack, any comments on Heath Ledger's death?
Heath Ledger, the actor, he died in New York.
Overdose. He died in New York.
Just found him dead a couple hours ago.
I warned him.
Listen, Jack.
Now it goes to say, did Heath Ledger open up himself to the demonic realm when playing the Joker? To me, yes, he did. So we're going to read just a little bit from it. It says, tragically, there's evidence that more suggests that Ledger's problems grew even worse as he began to more intensely plunge into his role as a Joker in the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight. Could it be that his role opened Ledger up to demonic oppression or even possession? With headlines from Australia Herald Sun like tragic death, Heath Ledger battled his demons. If it was personal demons that conspired to destroy Heath Ledger, they were already making their presence felt many years before. One might wonder if it might be on to something. The truth is that the world is blind to the spiritual world around us, which is filled with demons and angels, which is very, very true. That's exactly what I just said. 85% of the world is completely blind to what is actually going on in the spiritual world. Y'all know we are not here alone. We just can't see it. We just can't see it. It's that simple. Says the lost world, he's quoting Ephesians and Corinthians, the lost world is woefully blind and unaware that there's a spiritual battle between God and the forces of darkness for our very souls. Jesus Christ stated that Satan was a murderer from the beginning and that he is the father of lies, which is what I just talked about. The scriptures state that Satan seeks to blind the lost from the soul saving gospel of Jesus Christ, and that even after God implants the seed of good news of salvation through Jesus Christ in the human heart, Satan attempts to snatch it away before one comes to saving faith. And it kind of goes back to how I said we're born, in a sense, spiritually dead, because this is what we have to become aware of before the devil snatches you and you have no chance to even come to the faith of God. That's what's going on in this world, with these teenagers today, why so many are influenced to kill, steal, and destroy. It's nothing but methods and spirit of the devil, because he's already reached them before they had a chance to get to God, to become aware of the Holy Spirit. That's how this stuff works. We're in a battle, but most people don't care. They don't care to understand that. So continue on a little bit more about Heath Ledger. This might be a long video, y'all. But anyway, says the Dark Knight director Christopher Nolan said that Heath Ledger's Joker would be far darker than Jack Nicholson's version, which it definitely was. He's extremely original, extremely frightening, tremendously edgy, said Nolan. Right? So this is, it's kind of going down to what the Joker character was going to be about, as far as how difficult it would be for Ledger to play the role. Now it goes on to say, Ledger told the New York Times that he had trouble sleeping while portraying the Joker, and that last week I probably slept an average of 2 hours a night. Says some thought that he opened himself up to a demonic entity to better portray the Joker, a demon that in the end he was unable to escape from. Then it says, Ledger seems to have been so tormented that he told the Times, I couldn't stop thinking. My body was exhausted and my mind was still going. He went on to state that he took drugs which would quell the unrest for only an hour, bro. Think about that, because that sounds like those spirits that God said you're not going to be able to get those spirits out of you unless you pray it out of you. You have to fast. You have to do certain things, because the spirit is so strong. It's so, it's literally attached. It's like it's taken over your soul, and there's no way that spirit could come out through no other way than God, fasting, just so much spiritual prayer. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot for certain spirits to, for you to rid yourself of those certain spirits. And a lot of people don't understand that. So in a sense, like how Damson Idris was talking about, he might be lucky that he didn't get kind of fully possessed by that spirit, because Heath Ledger was on to something much more darker. And you could tell the spirit, like the interview that I had in the Heath Ledger video, you could tell the spirit had a hold on him. And just like this article says, in the end, he was unable to escape from the spirit that possessed him. Few people realize the dark spiritual side of acting, going all the way back to the Greek theater. The best actors in Greek theater were believed to be literally possessed by the entities they sought to portray on stage. Many occultists like Aleister Crowley taught that acting and assuming a role of a particular demon was the fastest way to come in contact with a demonic entity. Many actors and actresses have credited their success to possession by a spirit entity. Robin Williams, who I got the video on Patreon about, which when I tried to put it on YouTube, it got me suspended, so that's why it's not on here. Robin Williams claimed that when acting, he becomes possessed, and that in the past, they would have burned him as a witch. And we're going to get into a little bit of witchery as well. New Ager Shirley MacLaine has also admitted spirit possession when acting. Matrix star Keanu Reeves states that he attempts to connect with his muse and goes on what he refers to as demon rides when acting. Bro, Johnny Depp has claimed that he is possessed with a multitude of demons. And I think he really is, because when he's acting, you could tell he ain't himself. And Denzel Washington claims that he is able to put on such great performances because he gets on his knees and calls on spirits to possess his body and empower him to play a given role. And with that being said, check this out.
Basically what I did was got on my knees and sort of communicated with the spirits. And when I came out, I was in charge.
Powerful scene.
Powerful scene. I couldn't have acted that. I couldn't have written that down and made a decision to play.
In conjunction with the current exhibition for the Marshall Chronicles, L&M Arts is pleased to present The Barzabel Working, a performance by filmmaker and artist Brian Butler, based on a ceremonial invocation of the spirit of Mars, first written and performed in London in 1910 by the famed British occultist Aleister Crowley. For his interpretation of this historic performance, Butler will conjure Barzabel, the spirit of Mars. The ritual will have Butler as chief magus and James Franco as material basis, the vessel through which the spirit of Mars manifests. Tuesday night, artist-musician Brian Butler, assisted by Twilight, New Moon actress Newt Sear, and actor Henry Hopper, son of Dennis Hopper, was supposed to invoke Barzabel, the forceful spirit of Mars, into the body of actor hipster James Franco at L&M Gallery. But update, James Franco missed his flight and there was an unannounced stand-in, according to comments after this went to press.
Alright, y'all. Now that is actually crazy because some of this stuff you wouldn't really believe. You know, you wouldn't believe that these people actually sit here and try to channel these dark spirits, these demonic spirits, you know. You would think people would be, you know, at least somewhat wise and aware enough to not try these things. Like, some people are very bold in the heart, you know, and I don't even know if that's the correct term to give them, you know, or if they're just so far gone, they're so attached to the devil and his ways that they just have no mind to God. They have no mind, you know, to ignore that dark side, because what are what are these people really trying to achieve here? You know, like, is it worth it selling your soul just to try to act out a role? You know, it kind of takes me back to Denzel. I saw another clip with Spike Lee and Pharrell, the rapper, producer. Spike Lee was talking about how Denzel Washington played Malcolm X and how he got himself into that role. And he literally said they were using some of Malcolm X's real speeches. And one part, after they had kind of stopped filming, Denzel went on to continue one of the speeches that he was doing, but it was all Denzel's own words. And Spike Lee was like, damn, that was better than what Malcolm X said. And when he asked Denzel to, you know, repeat what he just said, Denzel said he didn't remember. And he asked him, how did he just do that? And Denzel was like, he doesn't know. And Spike Lee went on to say that he literally invoked the spirit of Malcolm X, which we would call that a familiar.
And the stuff that he said was better than Malcolm's words. So I finally called cut. I called Denzel. I said, Denzel, that was great. But where did that come from? I mean, you went on 5 minutes after what was scripted. He said, Spike, I don't know. So that's the type of, he was bringing it. Now,
did that moment go in?
It was in the movie. But here's the thing about people don't understand. Denzel works. A year before we started to shoot, he told his agent, I'm not working anymore. He prepared a year for that role. What'd he do? I'm playing a Muslim. Okay, I can't eat pork anymore. I'm playing a Muslim. I can't drink. I have to learn how to speak Arabic. I have to learn how to read the Quran. He became a student of Malcolm. It's more than just the impersonation. It's more than just us dyeing his hair red or putting on the glasses or the voice. Because all that shit is superficial. Denzel knew he had to be in a space spiritually where Malcolm come in his vessel. So that's why he was able to do that 5-minute thing after the scripted pages ended. That was Malcolm and him. Malcolm came into his soul right there. I said Denzel. He could not remember what he said.
But Spike Lee was, wording it as he became Malcolm X in that moment. He opened himself up to the spirit. And he said he fully embodied the role, like how we was talking about earlier with method acting. He stopped eating pork because he was playing Malcolm X. He did everything that Malcolm X would do, and that's basically what method acting is. They cut off everything and they actually become the role. They become the person, become the spirit that they're trying to channel. It just kind of blows my mind because a lot of people think Denzel is not involved in this stuff, and he's deep in it. Denzel is deep into it, They all practice this kind of stuff. And, unless you really look into James Franco, I didn't really know James Franco. I didn't even know he went to Yale. And he actually dated a girl that was a part of the Wolfhead Society, secret society at Yale. And that society is a part of the big three societies with Skull and Bones. I think the other one is called Skull and Key or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it was the Wolfhead Secret Society. His girlfriend was a part of that society. So James Franco is deep in the occult as well. He's probably one of the more deep, actors that's in the occult than I have ever came across. Because he actually attempted to do the ritual that Aleister Crowley did back in 1910. That's what that clip was talking about. So that kind of blew my mind a little bit, and they said when it got public, somehow he canceled his flight to go to New York and actually do the ritual, which I'm pretty sure they did it behind closed doors anyway. So he was actually channeling a spirit to become that spirit of Mars that they were talking about in that short clip that I played. So this stuff is deep across Hollywood. It runs deep across Hollywood. And the thing with James Franco, it kind of goes back to, I think it's the first UFO video I did on my main channel, the Black Balloons channel with an S, and it was talking about Jack Parsons, that rocket engineer, where he did his own. It's the same ritual. The ritual that James Franco was doing is the same one that Jack Parsons was doing, but Jack Parsons did it in his own way. He basically, it was based all off of how Aleister Crowley invites the spirits and channels the spirits. But I can't remember exactly how Jack Parsons did it. It's in that video. We've kind of talked about this already in that video. I have no idea where I found that clip at. Consider I did that video months ago. But anyways, this stuff is deep. This stuff is deep and it's dark. And this is the influence that, Hollywood and all of this demonic ritual stuff has on people. You see what I'm saying? And it makes me think about the clip in the beginning of this video, how they was talking about TV being a bigger religion than basically Christianity itself. And that if they wanted to, they could completely wipe the religion off the face of this earth. I thought that was super deep because, man, I mean, I don't even have to say it. Everybody is influenced by what they watch and what they see. And it starts with TV. And it starts with the actors that are already channeling spirits right in front of you. These people are controlled by spirits, and we're watching their shows and their movies, and we're loving it, we're enjoying it, but we don't even know 90% of the time these people contacted dark forces to even be able to bring this to the screen. Even though, what you're watching is something a lot of the times inspiring, or, like Malcolm X or like Training Day, I'm just speaking of Denzel, just movies that aren't evil movies, but what they do in order to get into them roles are pure evil. That is magic. That's magic. You're literally watching magic. So, I completely agree. TV very well could wipe out what, religion is today. Basically, it is religion. It's bigger if you really think about it. Because that's like that's kind of like the end game of the devil anyway. To go ahead and kind of finish this video off, got a few more things I wanted to go over and talk about. The article that I was reading, it ended with Oprah Winfrey. Now it says, Oprah Winfrey has claimed that she lights candles and then petitions spirits to possess her so that she can better perform. Quote, I try to empty myself and let the spirit of Seth inhabit me, admits Oprah Winfrey. Director Jonathan Demme, who directed the movie Beloved, said of Oprah Winfrey's performance, Oprah had explained to me when we originally met that it was her goal and intention to channel the spirit of Margaret Garner. This very infusion of humanity past accounts to a significant degree of Oprah's stunning alchemy, her astonishing abandonment of self in her beloved performance. Now, this is just another instance of these people trying to channel the spirit of someone that was once here on earth, of an actual person. But like I said earlier, they're not channeling these people's spirits. They're channeling a familiar spirit that probably inhabited that person as well. They're channeling demon spirits that will help them become what they're trying to become. This stuff is deep, y'all. I can't say it enough. This stuff is deep, man. And what brings all of this right back around to focus is Damson Idris, a very current, famous actor who will, I'm pretty sure, have an amazing career because he's already in so much stuff. He's, he did great in Snowfall. You see what I'm saying? Like how I said, I watched the show. I like the show. We're watching this stuff, and Snowfall isn't like evil. It's teaching you about how the CIA brought coke into, the cities of black cities and so on and so on. But look at what he just told you. He told you he tried to contact the devil, channel a spirit just to play a role of a guy who's dealing drugs. Do y'all get that? As something that you would think is so simple, but key thing, like what we were talking about in the beginning of the video. In season 6, he was going into a much darker place in order to play that role. He had to go in a very dark state of mind. So he felt he needed to contact demonic forces. But yet we're just watching Snowfall. Man, all I can say is this stuff is deep, y'all. This stuff is deep.